better than us? Nobody!
We want to focus on the things that have made us good all year long, and intensity that they can't match. And the other thing is the ultimate disrespect is when somebody takes what's yours. And this is our game, so that makes it so personal. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
I need 60 minutes. 60 minutes of me. 60 minutes. No business, no mercy. Nothing but stuff on the sun bubble. You got me. We're going to ring the bell. We're going to ring that championship bell. Ding, motherfucking dog.
Here comes the pressure. Penix fires over the middle, and it is intercepted. Mikey Sandristil going the other way.
The legend of Mike Sandristil continues to grow.
JJ takes the snap, flips the ball to Roman Wilson after he takes a knee, and Michigan, the Wolverines, have won a national championship.
First and goal. Mahomes flings it.
It's there! Hardman! Jackpot, Kansas City!
This was the Andy Reid special we talked about. He was saving all day. He's going to fake a motion to go across. And at that moment, he turns and goes back Hardman, who they didn't have, right?
On this touchdown throw to Mecole Hardman, who started the season as a Jet.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
Last week we said in the locker room, nobody but the guys in that locker room knew how good this group can be. Now the whole damn country knows how good it is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Huddle Up Podcast. It is November the 12th, 2024. We are back. We hope you are doing well wherever you are. If you are with us live, give us a like, give us a share, like our pal Devin already has done, checking in with us here. You can get the Huddle Up merch over at our T Public store. So you want to head over there and grab whatever you can. A couple of new designs this season. We also have some classic designs over there as well. So make sure you grab a hold of some of that. Sales coming up regularly over there on the T Public store. So make sure you check back daily if there's not a sale today. You can follow us on all of our social media like you saw during the intro. We are at Huddle Up Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. We are at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We are on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. And you can get us on all podcast platforms as well. So make sure you do that. Give us a rating and review where you can. Share with your friends if you enjoy us. If you don't tell us because we don't care. But no Sean this week, no EJ this week, but the Fab Four are here to bring you everything we need to this week. We'll start over here to my side. Mikey B, how we doing this week?
You know what? We're great. We're back to being in the saddle again. We took a much needed week off, cleared the mental slate. I needed a break after the midseason awards with Kyle Nash.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were working, baby.
But I will ask you this, Jim, because you sent the run sheet. And, I'm looking at said run sheet because, why wouldn't I look at it at 8:35 day of show?
Sure.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Kansas at BYU.
Yes.
BYU -3, over under 3.
Oh, that's a bad on my part. Stand by.
Great, Bob.
Stand by.
As the guy who keeps track of things, I
would take the over if we're being honest about it.
If I'm taking BYU, I'm 100%.
Yeah, just bet the over on that one.
3.
Let's see here.
It's got to be like 36, right?
55.5. We'll go. I'll update that on my sheet. We'll get there.
Sure.
When we get there. But yeah, The -3 is surprisingly correct.
You know, I'm going to push back with this, though, Mikey B. It's the Big 12. You're going to pick the fucking over anyway. Why are you bitching?
I mean,
This guy gets it.
I mean, Kansas sucks.
Right.
More on that later.
But yeah, I would probably still venture the over there. Student of the game, Kyle Nash, how we doing?
An honor, joy, and privilege to jump in with you again. And listen, I had plenty of fun doing the midseason awards on the Student of the Game podcast last week with Mikey Byrne. So if you haven't checked those out, do it. Anyways, I don't know why I was going Shia LaBeouf there, but speaking of actors, every time we do the ding dong portion of the intro, I'm more and more tempted to try to send you audio to go quack, motherfucking quack. Even though I think the Ducks are trash, like I that's all I could think of is like some angry guy in a green suit doing that. I'm sorry.
I mean, not wrong. Maybe that's a new shirt. That duck mother effing quack.
Quack, yeah, quack mother effing quack.
Well, yeah, I guess I do have the organ fund, so maybe that'll be a thing that'll end up on our site. But check back. I'm sure it'll be on sale. And Matt, how we doing this week?
It's good to be back. It was a stress-free football weekend for me. Not so much for my wife, who had to hold on for dear life for the Commanders-Steelers game. And maybe Penn State. I don't know. I don't watch that.
I think they won big. They won big.
Fair enough.
Yeah, stress-free for me because Notre Dame won easily, and I don't care about the Cowboys. They can't hurt me anymore.
And I understand why EJ's not on because
and my Chargers won again.
Throttled, and the Patriots lost, right?
They did. No, the Patriots won. Patriots won. They beat They beat the Bears. Well, maybe he's celebrating. He doesn't get to celebrate the Patriots that often.
You mother-loving so-and-sos, that's great y'all had stress-free. Try being presiding over the Night Shift Live podcast on the Black and Gold Banner at YouTube channel as UCF gives up 14 points on special teams, essentially, and pisses away the game they should have otherwise won, then having to cover the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, at least the good news was Fans First Sports Network was in the building for the Orlando Magic to get their second win in a row, and their season's not over yet because they have a star that when he comes back will play back-to-backs. Am I right there, Matt?
Wow. Dang.
That was a heck of an effort.
Coming at him. Oh, we've had time off. Student of the game never takes time off. That's one thing I respect about the man. All right, let's dive in though and see what we've learned.
I miss doing the Clint Eastwood eyebrow. I got nothing for that.
You can. I'm not going to stop you. It may not make as much sense with the more you know sounder, but what makes sense anymore? All right, as we do each and every week, we look back at the weekend that was in the world of football, and we find out what we learned this past weekend. So, Matt, what did you learn this past weekend?
More and more convincingly, the New York Football Giants and the Dallas Cowboys are trying to outgun themselves for who has the dumbest front office in the NFC East. And I don't know, Jim, it's a lot closer than you might think.
Are you sure?
One of them gave Daniel Jones a lot of money.
And then let Saquon Barkley
doesn't
walk
know which way
for
the
a
sun
lot
shines
less.
from.
That's just him being senile.
Well, I think. Well, is the guy who's there the GM of the Giants? Was he the one that signed Jones to that long contract? Because I feel like this guy's newish.
Oh, look, hold on. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, because.
Well, the thing that Eagles Jaworski keeps telling me, despite his Cowboy fanhood, is that Brian Daboll was not the quarterback. Or check that, Brian Daboll didn't want Dimes as the quarterback. Or didn't. It's not that he didn't want him. It's that he keeps saying he wasn't the coach that picked him.
Joe Schoen became the general manager in 2022.
Okay,
so probably around that time frame.
Yeah,
right?
see, I guess it depends because I think Dimes signed the contract in 22, so I guess it's a matter of when
when that
happened.
Into that role. If that was his first act as GM,
Whoops.
How's he still there?
And then to follow it up with a Hard Knocks appearance where you double and triple down on, we don't really need Saquon Barkley. Despite your owner saying, we should probably re-sign this guy, right? And you're like, nah.
Yeah,
I should.
I mean, I did watch the Hard Knocks, and part of me also thinks that because obviously there's only so much even in that we do see. Like, there's part of me that watched that and thought, like, the writing was on he knew Barkley was going. Like,
Daniel Jones signed his 4-year, $160 million contract extension with the Giants on March 7th, 2023.
Okay, so is that right after his? Well, again, not to defend it, I feel like his rookie is that first year he was better than he's been since then. I'll at least say that. Again,
he's a quarterback from Duke.
Not a great.
Was he doing better, or was Saquon making him look good? Let's remember, gentlemen, the strength of Brian Daboll's Coach of the Year award is having an overall offensive strategy of giving the ball to Saquon. Yes, allegedly. Thank you, Jim.
Absolutely.
That's up there with Cam Cameron getting the Coach of the Year with the Chargers back when they were still in San Diego, with an offensive strategy of every play, give the ball to LaDainian Tomlinson, and then every third play, maybe Philly Rivers throws it a bit.
Hey, Ernest, you're here now. How do you feel about the Giants?
Okay, first of all, that's the way we know Ernest isn't here. You're asking him about the Giants. Automatically, we know you're faking.
Well, I mean, you can ask him about it. I don't know why a non-Giants fan would answer the question.
The Chiefs are really good. Patrick Mahomes is great. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback. Go Patriots. Have a good show, guys. See you next week.
Optics, vibes.
No matter.
Thanks for coming in.
Something press conference.
Championship pedigree.
Oh my God. Oh, it's real good.
He didn't say the Heat in any of that because we know he wouldn't.
He never does. Go Heat, bitch.
Go Heat, bitch.
I always have to follow it up. Yeah, I mean, when my front office is in that conversation, it sucks. It just sucks.
Well, this is how we got to the NFC East power vacuum theory I developed, Jim.
You can get that shirt over on our T Public store as well.
Bing bong.
Spelling that, damn it.
There you go. All right, student of the game, Kyle Nash. What did you learn this past weekend?
I know Mike's going to get mad at me for this, but I'm sorry. It's just the facts of the case. Russell Carrington Wilson, not dead. I'm sorry.
I'm not mad at you for thinking that he's not dead, because you're right. He isn't dead.
Well, but you were the one throwing machine gun fire and even hinting that he might be better than Justin Fields, right? And of course, I'm hyperbole here, buddy. But why aren't we critical of Russell Wilson and all this? These were questions you asked.
Absolutely.
And listen, I want to give a butt ton of credit to George Pickens, because listen, once a game, that Humpy Bumpy comes up with a highlight worthy play. It's goddamn beautiful to watch. And it's offense, and it's passing, and it's non-Ben Roethlisberger, and it's the Steelers. All things that should not be together in the sentence. Yet, nonetheless, this is the most Steeler-looking team we've seen since, goodness, before Le'Veon Bell, right?
It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, this team's scary, and I'll put it this way. I believe them playing the Red Tails is a factor in the upcoming game between the Red Tails and the Eagles here on a Thursday night. I don't know that we're picking that tonight, but we will be picking on the Student of the Game podcast. So more on that later.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one on Thursday. Eagles had a little bit of an easier road this past Sunday than Washington did. But all right, Mikey B, what did you learn this past weekend?
What I learned this past weekend is very simple. It doesn't matter if Jared Goff throws 1 pick, 2 pick, red pick, blue pick.
Nice.
The Lions find a way to win football games. Games are not supposed to. I don't get it. The defense, we all said, was in shambles now that Aiden Hutchinson is done.
Wow.
The defense saved their ass.
That is a great point.
At the end of the day, I don't necessarily know if this is a Lions now feel like one of the most complete teams in the National Football League, or if this is a question of what is going on in Houston. I don't. So I guess I leave it at this point. The Detroit Lions are finding ways to win games that people probably left them for dead during a lot. Especially this past week, Jared Goff did not look great, and they still somehow found a way to win a football game. Kudos to Man Campbell for doing something at the half to get those guys to figure out something, and Bates for drilling 3 field goals, I think, of over 50 yards. Shouts.
I mean, listen, that's a great take. And by the way, I would even add the lesson learned if you hadn't listened to my warnings regarding the Houston Texans and their lack of discipline, as they say on South Park, right? Boy, you learned it that night, didn't you? You know.
Yeah,
discipline.
And I think the thing for, I mean, I guess the fortunate thing for the Texans is you're in a division that you know, this skid hasn't really hurt you.
Not great, Bob.
Yeah, the division
not great, Bob.
Not exactly the best
it
in
sucks,
the National Football League.
Can the Bengals request a trade to that division, because we'd still have a shot at winning the division?
More competitive than the AFC East. But yeah, you know, like, so the Texans, while concerns for the long term as we look down towards the rest of the season, yeah, the division's still in hand, but you got to wonder, with injuries mounting now, Nico Collins should hopefully be returning. I think a couple guys on defense are close to getting healthy. So you wonder if you can start to put those pieces back together. But there was certainly frustration with it, like looking at the two sidelines, and when Sunday night and Monday night, teams just love trading away turnovers with each other. But when you looked at, you know, the Lions turning the ball over as much as they did, and then contrast that with the Texans doing it the way they did, and the two sidelines couldn't have looked much different. Now, of course, the Lions, you know, 1 loss on the year and kind of rolling here a bit, but like there was never any panic. And then once the lead started to slip for Houston, it just looked like that you could just tell they were never going to get it back. Like it was just like they were just in danger that whole time. And yeah, you gotta wonder, not that they're going to lose the division, because I mean, I haven't looked at theirs versus the Colts schedule. I don't think they're in much danger there.
They are not.
But you gotta think once you get into the postseason, then what? And I don't, you know, I don't know what that's going to look like for them.
I mean, the Colts do have a lighter schedule now that I'm looking at, besides the Lions.
But what I'm saying isn't so much their schedule, Matt, is just they can lose the Titans. Yeah, exactly. You know,
that's fair.
So, am I the only one that every time Jim said I'm in danger, just thought of Ralph Wiggum sitting on the bus? I'm in danger.
I had actually Will Robinson, danger. But yeah, either apply here.
I like it. I like the spirit of that, for sure. But yeah, and sorry, Kyle, to go back to your point. Yeah, the Steelers definitely, you know, because I think there was some people that weren't questioning the decision to change to Russell Wilson, more so the timing of it coming a week before before their bye week at that point. And I think we kind of looked at it and went, well, this is kind of your week to do it. Yeah, you have an easy game going into the bye, and it obviously has looked like by far the smartest decision that team has made this year. Because I mean, I was one of those people that did kind of count Russell Wilson out and was like, I think this dude's pretty toast, and he's clearly not. So good on him and good on Pittsburgh.
I mean, is this the part where we hit the Lucifer Morning Star, or should we do that later? I'm just asking.
I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
I mean, like I said, I've never really been afraid to admit that I'm wrong here. So,
interesting. They have quite a gaunt. I mean, they do play the Browns twice, but they have the Ravens, Bengals twice on their schedule, plus the Chiefs and the Eagles. So So really show us what Pittsburgh is these next few weeks again, aside from the Browns, who are, I mean, wild card contenders.
Their offense is a lot more effective with Jameis Winston than Deshaun Watson.
Well, sure.
And it's a divisional game. As someone who's not
only
here,
because we didn't get 2020 Deshaun Watson.
Thank God.
They're a playoff team, guys. That's enough of that.
Yeah, come on now. So mine, I'm trying to debate which of the two, because I have two here, one in college, one in the NFL. Let's go.
I would say just rip them both since Ernest isn't here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm more than happy to disclose why I'm not doing my college one, because I know we're going to talk a lot about it. Basically, my defense for not saying college in this part is more on that later. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so I'll start in the NFL. And it's we never like to admit when EJ could potentially be right. Now he went super hot take-ish in our NFL preview, but in hindsight, he may not actually be that wrong on this one. The LA Chargers might actually make the playoffs this year. They are currently, I mean, they really do control their own fate. They're currently sitting in the number 2 wild card spot. Now the next month is their toughest stretch. Like, we're gonna find out if 6-3 is actually 6-3, because they have Bengals, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Bucks over the next 5. So that's a pretty grueling stretch. They do have the advantage. They're 1 game ahead of Denver, who's behind them. They still have to play Denver again. They finished the year Denver, New England, and Las Vegas. So if they can get through the next 5, I say if they get through the next 5, even 3-2, potentially even 2-3, depending what they do in that Broncos game, like this team is very much alive for a playoff spot, and it's a credit, especially when you're looking at the fact that they've played the Chiefs already once. They haven't given up more than 20 points all year, and that's a credit to Jesse Minter and that defense.
I before we start giving EJ too much credit, keep in mind he did that without the hindsight of Joe Burrow being hurt and a lot of other teams struggling that
sure
that we did not expect to be. And he's gonna be like, oh yeah, this week is so smart. No, it means your analysis was that bad that the football gods gave you that much fucking help. Okay, let's be clear about that.
Oh, sure. It was, I love Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to make a hot take.
Don't count out Joey just yet.
No.
Doing
no.
that, are you? We're not doing this, are
we? We're not doing what?
You're not going to go. You're not going to do your best EJ Christian take here and then try to tell me they're a playoff threat again. You're not going to do that.
I'm saying that they're a game out of a playoff spot, and the only team ahead of them is Denver, and they play them in week 17.
You are going to do this. Oh.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I don't want to derail this. So I will table this because we're going to talk Chargers Bengals.
No, I know. I'm just surprised you're turning face. That's all. We can do it later. It's fine.
If there's another team in the docket that controls their own destiny in the AFC, it's the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Because
so
of who they have on the slate. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm just annoyed because I had to do that this afternoon on the Student of the Game Report on the Earnestly Speaking podcast with EJ already, and before he decided to go to the MASH unit and miss tonight's episode. So you'll forgive me if this is an arduous take.
So, but
Ernest, take your team, take my team name out your mouth.
I'll defend Mike. I'll defend Mike to a point, and it's not just because
Homer.
But it helps. They're 1 game behind Denver for the 7 spot. Okay. They do play again, like you said, they do play each other in week 17. Cincinnati plays
2 Steelers games, the Titans, the Chargers, and 2 other cupcakes. I think the Giants and
Cowboys
and
Browns.
Cowboys and Browns. That's what it is. Yeah.
So there's 2 definite wins.
You could argue.
There's a possibility for a win here. There's a possibility you can split the Steelers. And the Denver game is certainly in play. So like there are wins there for Denver. They have Falcons, Raiders, Browns, Colts, Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs. I'd say similar roads
though in week 18 where they may not be playing starters. So let's keep that 100.
Fair. Also depends what happens in the Chiefs-Bills game this weekend.
Also,
those two teams could be very much live, just competing, not competing with their divisions by that point, competing with each other.
Right. And to your point, in week 18, they could be in a position, depending on how they finish out, either team where both they're locked at 1 and 2, and the real competition might be for 3 and 4. But then again, if the Bills and Chiefs are locked at 1 and 2, I don't see a scenario where the Texans are going to fight for 3 either. So we may be pretty locked up on week 18. It might be pretty damn boring.
And then Indy, who's currently the team between Denver and Cincy right now, has Jets, Lions, Patriots, Broncos, Titans, Giants, Jags. So relatively easy road for Indy, but
they suck.
Right. I don't know. Besides being not good, I don't know what the Colts are. So it's certainly possible, but
I mean,
don't want
0.0% chance of winning the division, but damn, they can still make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
oh yeah, man, listen, we weren't ever accusing you of saying that. You're not that big a homer.
Yeah, playoffs.
I'm a realist, unlike Ernest.
Well, right. Well, we all know that.
I mean, I'm sure he thinks the Browns still have a chance.
Bengals plus 6.5 looks real good, Ernest.
Oh my god.
Fuck off.
Oh, brutal stuff.
Now you know why I always tell him to shut up about the Eagles.
Yeah. He doesn't understand the power that he actually holds.
No, because he says it, and then 2 plays later, the guy who hasn't fumbled in 8 weeks fumbles.
They know. They somehow know.
It really is a sick kind of weird magic.
My advice to you then, Mikey Byrne, not that I normally advise this of any production that I'm involved with, but I think you should live in the world of Schrodinger's cat and not listen to this week's edition of the Student of the Game Report, nor the Student of the Game podcast, which is simulcasting the Student of the Game Report, by the way. Because he definitely says some things that will compromise the superstition of your Bengals this week.
All right, so note to self: Trey Hendrickson's going to get a concussion.
Oh, he didn't even bring Trey up. Oh, now what have you done? Oh, Bird.
Mike Gesicki's going to pull his hamstring.
That's so bad.
Joe Burrow's going to get like liquid diarrhea and miss 2 games because he shit himself. All right,
I thought he already had that.
No, that was a wrist.
Oh, my bad.
Is there other kind of diarrhea than liquid? Maybe
magma.
we don't want to answer
magma diarrhea.
Maybe we don't want to answer that question.
No.
I'm not
I like
sure.
you.
I'll just I think we'll avoid that one.
Myth.
My other one, and it'll kind of tie to, and it's also to bridge a little bit of the time till I can get the graphic of the playoff rankings, and then we can go into that as well.
Nice.
But with the results of this past weekend in college football, the among other division or among other conferences, but the SEC championship game picture is still cloudy as hell. And is all of a sudden a lot more live and active with the additional loss by Georgia this past weekend. So currently, if this season was ending today, it would be Tennessee, Texas A&M in the SEC title game. Texas in 3rd place, Georgia 4th place, Ole Miss now again with that win over Georgia, kind of back in the mix as well. And then you get into Alabama, Missouri, LSU, teams that would need absolute miracles at this point. But, I know Texas and Texas A&M still play each other at the end of the year. Tennessee and Georgia play this weekend. More on that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, it's wild. I mean, there was a lot of shakeup across college football, but in the SEC, it really felt just absolutely huge with the loss by Georgia. Felt like they were kind of put themselves in the driver's seat with that win over Texas the other week, and like, I think kind of the lesson, and maybe it's the bigger what have we learned, or continuing to learn in college football this year is each week is going to kind of keep us guessing. You like the I think Dan Patrick said it on Monday that it's just kind of this situation of like there's a lot of good teams, there's a few really good teams. Like I don't know if there is a great team this year, and we're kind of seeing that play out in real time each week.
Yeah, I mean that's the main reason Oregon has a fighting chance. There is no great team this year.
Is that kind of what makes it fun a little bit? Like that we're not sitting here going, I know that X and Y are going to be in the championship when it's all said and done.
I mean, I don't know about well, knowing a team's in the championship is one thing. Seeing a conference that was once much better than what we're seeing in the Big Ten right now. Like, I listen, I had been critical in the past of the Big Ten, and then when the playoffs started, what was it? Carnell Jones, Urban Meyer, and Ohio State did what they did and won that playoff. Nick Saban got hot, all that. The Big Ten was a tougher conference then. Now, Ohio State's been declining for some time. With respect to you, Jim, Michigan isn't what it was with Harbaugh there. Wisconsin and Golden Gophers and that grouping below there continue to show that they're overrated as hell. So I think there's a lot of that. But see, here's the thing. There's so much delusion with this good team theory that even the ACC and the bias there isn't really necessarily taking it over, right? Sure, Clemson's way overrated just like SMU is, but they're not a threat to – I mean, are they really a threat? They may only have one playoff team in when everything's said and done, right, Jim? So I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy. But, yeah.
Right. Yeah, like that's really, because I think that was kind of the question going into this year with the college football playoff expanding to 12. And, as we've now gotten further into the now that we've gotten further into like the transfer portal era and stuff like that, is we're kind of seeing this level. And I also don't know too if there is as much importance on every single game, because as you can see, in a expanded field, you don't necessarily have to be perfect each and every week.
Correct.
Like it's not a situation where dear God, we lost October 5th, our season is over. Like now it's like, okay, I lost October 5th. I fell to, 15th in the AP. I'm still alive because we have 3 weeks until the first field of 12 comes out.
But the problem is with that sentiment, Jim, is now we're going back to over rewarding undefeated teams with absolute garbage ass schedules, right? Indiana, for example, the worst and most egregious trash I've seen. They've got nothing to show for what they've done. And if they go in and sneak in and beat in Ohio State, what's going to happen? They're going to get ranked even higher when they shouldn't, and Ohio State's still going to be in the playoff. Who loses? America, right? Don't get me started with SMU, who has a bunch of oil money financing their rosters, right? They haven't played anybody either. Just look at their schedule. It's awful. But Kyle, what about Boise State? Hey, at least at one point they played to the alleged number one team and only lost by 3. At least they have a quality loss, as the committee likes to tell us, right?
They beat ranked Pitt.
Ranked at the time, Pitt is the critical word there.
What an awful team.
That comically makes my point. It makes me smile and feel good and warm and supported all at the same time. You're a very healthy presence tonight. So, anyways,
all right. Well, I think we have successfully killed enough time to where we can talk about this week's college football playoff ranking as the host works to get the graphic up on the screen.
What can I say except welcome?
It's almost like we're actually like good at this or something.
Sort of.
I don't know about Ernest.
So here is this week's here's this week's field. We have SMU, the second team out. Georgia is the first team out. And when we were looking at the bracket, we have first round matchups of Boise State and Ohio State, Notre Dame and Tennessee, Ole Miss and Penn State, Alabama and Indiana, your 4 projected conference champions. would be Oregon. They would be the 1 seed. Texas would be the 2 seed. BYU would be the 3 seed. Miami, still clinging to life, would be the 4 seed there. But when you look, and this was the big reveal, and this is what I was curious about. Obviously, we didn't get to go over this last week. Is the actual ranking position different than playoff seeding? So as you see there, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, BYU, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Boise State are in your top 12. And somebody had asked on the Facebook page last week when the rankings came out, like, why do you have, seeding versus ranking? And I kind of made the best comparison that I could. Like when you look at like the NFL, for example, last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with a worse record than 2 wild card teams, hosted a wild card round game. So like conference championships matter, division championships matter. It's not exactly the same, but it's the best comparison that we have.
It's a great comparison, Jim. You did a good job.
Yeah, and that's why the seedings are different. So looking at these, Mike, we'll start with you. What's kind of the best? What's kind of the worst? Looking at the top seedings here.
Well, I don't know that it's quote best or worst. It's Power 5 potential bye. We look at Miami as the only member of the Atlantic Coast Conference here in this top 12.
Isn't it delicious? Thank you, Jim.
Boy, but look just a couple spots below. Here comes Ashton Genty. Here come the Broncos.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's a world where we have an opportunity where Boise State finishes ahead of the ACC champion.
Miami has to lose another game for that to happen. And buddy, listen, and you're nodding, so you hear what I'm saying. But for those who want to know where I'm going, is if you look at the schedules, there is no credible world, even with all my ACC criticism, that you can put Boise State's strength of schedule anywhere close to what Miami's doing. You just can't do it.
I can't wait for them to lose to SM who in the ACC title game, and then we have to have a conversation of SMU or Boise State, who gets the bye. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking the team that only lost by 3 to the team who's probably going to win the Big Ten.
You might, but the committee won't. I can guarantee you, Mikey.
Give me the Oregon Boise State rematch in the semis.
Buddy,
let's ride.
I love it. But you and I are going to be shouting the same word just like we were when we were calling for Vanderbilt to get votes. Cowards.
What I will say worse off here, because I do have a worst off, and it's simply this. I get it. Penn State is cute because they haven't lost. I get it. Indiana is cute because they haven't lost.
Thank you.
But god damn, I'm fucking over the two of them.
Yeah. All right. Student of the game. What best and worst that we're looking at here?
Well, I think Mike has nailed the worst. And then speaking of strength of schedule, we have a team on here that's allegedly associated with the Power 5, but before the year is out, we'll have played 4 G5 teams. But we're supposed to treat them as equals. And I know someone's going to get on my case about this, but it's the facts of the case. I'm sorry. Something needs to be done about strength of schedule and a team that can make the playoff and alleges themselves a Power 5 and has 4 G5 teams on their schedule. I don't give a shit if 2 of them will be ranked at the time that it happens. It's still awful and an absolute crime to this bracket. Notre Dame being even at the 9th seed is complete garbage. Put them behind Boise State. They have a similar caliber of strength of schedule. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with the and I understand 4 G5 opponents, but outside of the G5, you also do have on Notre Dame's side a Texas A&M on the schedule.
Ooh, there's a surprising development. I'll see that and raise you in Oregon.
Okay, Notre Dame won that game.
Good.
Like,
and we still, and in fairness, Jim, that Texas A&M, the value of that game keeps changing, which is why we can have this conversation.
Sure.
There's a non-zero chance that Texas A&M just completely craps out and loses out. Then where the bleep are you? You know, and the converse can be said as well towards the Ducks, because they're frauds too, and maybe they lose no, they're playing Purdue and Maryland and somebody else garbage. So no, that's not an option here.
What is the signature win though for Boise State? I'm curious.
They don't have one essentially. It's UNLV or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I get they have that famed quality loss, but
correct. See, you're catching up. I love it, brother.
You know, and then close tight games against UNLV, close games against Nevada. Like I'm not saying that, you know, Boise State doesn't deserve to be in the top 12. I'm not
You're not saying that at all, Jim. No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm up to speed on the similar schedules. But and also too, like margin of victory wise, I mean, both teams are, you know, for the most part doing it similarly as well.
Well, at least Boise State hasn't lost to a G5 team.
That's fair. But they also haven't beaten as many Power 4 teams as Notre Dame has.
Well, they've beaten them is in question. That Louisville game, did they really beat them? I mean, but that's when we talking trash on the ACC than it is Notre Dame.
Fair. Matt, best and worst from the playoff rankings.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with the panel on the worst. I will make a slight correction to Mikey's comment about Penn State and that they did, in fact, already lose. So the fact that they're still up there with that loss, it makes it even worse, I would say.
That's a great point, Matthew Muehlheisen.
Yeah, put BYU at 4, you cowards.
I love it.
Even though they fucked me on Saturday, but put them at 4.
I wouldn't argue it. Yeah, I think otherwise, you know, it's not too many complaints. I think that, you know, it's early. Things are still going to regress towards the norm, so they're going to put teams in there just because they feel like they have to at this point. I'm not necessarily thrilled with, you know, the amount of SEC teams we're trying to cram in there still at this point, but you had to assume it was going to happen. So the fact that they're kind of lower and keeping them towards that first team out and farther away from the top 4 gives me some hope that we'll see some parity in the playoff for the first 12-team one.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, the teams that are on the outside looking in, the Clemsons, the SMUs of the world, they've lost games that they should have won. That's what makes SEC teams losing to SEC opponents bigger in the bracket. I don't love it, but when you have a conference that all of national media has shown is at leaps and bounds ahead of at least 2 of the other 3 Power 4 conferences, you're going to get a 2-loss if both losses happen in the SEC team a la a Georgia over a Clemson who lost to Louisville.
Shouldn't that be the way it is, though?
I'm going to say yes and no, because I do believe that
there's not both.
No. See, here's the thing, and I'm going to have my fucking spot where I'm going to tell you. At the end of the day, if they can sit there and they lose 1 game, it's telling me that anything can happen on any Saturday across college football.
That's always how it's been, though.
Why are we penalizing teams when they lose the games that they can't schedule? They have to play conference games. Why are we penalizing a 1-loss team and giving credit to a 2-loss team? And Georgia being the example I'm going to use, because in what world did any of us think that Jackson Dart was going to go and beat them?
Well, and so, but they've gotten awarded. Like some of us on this panel in the preseason had Ole Miss in the top 4. And by some of us, I mean me, right? So I think Georgia. I don't think Georgia is the right example you want to use because they're getting penalized for being up and down, right? They're outside looking in because they have played down to and up to opponents. You'll agree?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the issue isn't that we're penalizing anybody. You're looking at it the wrong way, in my opinion. You're getting a premium for two things. One of them you're going to respect, the other you're not. Okay. One thing you're looking at is quality opponents and schedules should matter, which your comment about Georgia, playing down to their opponents and stuff, them getting penalized for that is a positive thing. But are you going to tell me right now, let's just say they did a play-in game where they brought in a 13th seed to play the 12th to get in to do battle with Ohio State, just as an example. You're telling me you would rather watch SMU participate in that?
I mean, who are they? You're saying they're playing Georgia? Because at this point...
No, I'm saying the play-in would be a team and Boise State for the right to play Ohio State in that seed. And right now it would be labeled as Boise State and Georgia. You would rather see SMU fight for that spot.
I would much rather not be giving Ole Miss credit for launching them up the bracket because they beat Georgia when their two losses are to Brian Kelly in overtime and to Kentucky.
So in the case of Brian Kelly, and this is the downside. Yes, this is you not talking trash on Brian Kelly, Jim. We know. The thing
I
with
think Brian Kelly's done enough for himself for me to stay quiet on this one this year.
Again, no trash chalked by Jim on Brian Kelly on this show. Doesn't happen. Doesn't fucking happen. Made it all up. But hold on, let me land the plane with this. Some of these with LSU and stuff, which, man, listen, LSU is very hard to reconcile. You're right. That's what the rest of the year will help solve, right? It's very interesting how further down the line in conference championships help resolve things. I think LSU is going to play themselves out. I know Jim thinks so. So, that LSU conversation is one that could eventually knock Ole Miss out organically. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, if Ole Miss runs the table, they're not going to play in the SEC title game. So I don't necessarily think they can play themselves out. But
I'm saying LSU will.
Oh, I think LSU is already drawing dead.
Right. So if they continue to lose and fall out as a team, I'm not going to. Let's say LSU goes unranked. That's on the table, right?
Sure.
Do you really think they could still put Ole Miss this high? I'm not convinced.
Who behind them? I mean, if you're telling me, and we're going to live in a world, let's say Miami and SMU both run the table. They play in the ACC title game, and SMU wins. So Miami's two losses are to Georgia Tech and to SMU in an ACC title game. Are you taking 2-loss Miami, or are you taking 2-loss Ole Miss?
You're taking 2-loss Ole Miss.
Even though Ole Miss's out of conference schedule was Furman, Middle Tennessee State, Wake Forest, and Georgia Southern.
Correct, because their in-season schedule wasn't Georgia Tech, Boston College, Louisville, and these other one, Pitt.
No, it was Kentucky, South Carolina, down Oklahoma, Arkansas, a Florida team that we all think should have fired their coach, and Mississippi State, who might be the worst team in the SEC.
That doesn't change my answer.
But that's what I'm saying. I think we're sitting here saying that we're criticizing teams for losing games in their conference. Those are not games that they can schedule. I'm tying this back to the Notre Dame discussion.
It's the fact that they can't schedule it that makes it a disadvantage for the SEC. They can't escape. They are in the best conference in college football. There's no debate. And if you are, it's a separate conversation we need to take off the podcast once you clear a CAT scan. Okay? Like, is this where we're at? We're questioning whether the SEC is the best conference in the nation now? Is this what we're doing?
No, what I'm saying is I don't think that the SEC being the best conference should get them 5 or 6 automatic teams into the bracket.
But you'll admit the ACC's done themselves no favors. If they had another team, if they had 2 undefeated teams right now, which they don't, but if they did, you're telling me they wouldn't be here? Come on, son.
I mean, there's what is there? 1 undefeated team left in college football?
You're telling me undefeated teams this late in a season when an ACC team is good doesn't happen? You forgot about Clemson and FSU as a thing back when they actually, had quarterbacks that could play?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the answer because when the first rankings had come out last week, Clemson had already found themselves out of the discussion.
I will say this. I think SMU should be in the top 12.
I think you're on drugs, but that's fine.
Okay, but their one loss is an out-of-conference game to the team who's currently the number 4 team in the bracket.
Who else?
And it was a 3-point loss as well.
But how often have we talked about how the ACC is worse than the fucking American before the Big 12 expansion? Yes, they should have that held against them, that their path to the playoff is easier. Right?
No, I don't think it should be held
Well,
against
you're
them.
out of your fucking mind, Byrne. I'm sorry.
And you know what? That's fine. But this is also the conversation of the SEC has now put themselves into a holier than thou of the NCAA slate, because now every person in the media, every person in the media wants to sit here and tell me.
You land the plane, and I'll tell you how my second point ties in. Go ahead.
You know what? I'm wrong. SEC is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Don't do that. Just I literally mean it. It ties into my next point. Go ahead.
I just don't think that we're sitting here in a world where the SEC is now is leaps and bounds and should be put on this pedestal that they deserve something. I think every team has to go out and play the football games. That's where I'm at. You play who you schedule, you play who the conference schedules you to play, and I think a one-loss SMU team is more deserving than an Ole Miss team who lost to Kentucky.
Just like immediately right after we have the conversation about the Texans being able to walk out of the South. That's another example. But here's the other piece, too, that we're not talking about that nobody here is particularly fond of. Their media draw is also a tiebreaker because money's a thing, fellas.
Yeah, that's also why Notre Dame's 8, Kyle.
Yeah, which is the bullshit I've been calling the show for years. Thank you. I don't talk shit on Brian Kelly. We know that. That's what I'm saying.
But okay, but to the point about SMU versus Ole Miss, looking at Ole Miss's schedule, yeah, obviously they have the win over Georgia. Besides that, they have nothing else besides a loss to an LSU team that I believe came out at 23 this week in the ranking, and a Kentucky team that isn't good. SMU's margin of victory, again, against bad teams, is quick math, probably 18 to 20 plus. And their only loss is a 3-point loss to what is the number 6 team in this ranking. Some could argue they maybe should be higher. So when I'm looking at those two resumes, like if I'm just looking at the two resumes, I think it's closer than some people want to admit it is. Like, if you want to make the point for Ole Miss, and there's possibilities for both teams, obviously, to stumble by the time we get out of this season.
Sure.
Like, I don't think the SMU argument is that much further off. Then like, if you want to put Ole Miss in, I think you're fine. If you want to make the case for SMU, I think you can make the case for SMU to sneak in at 12, push Boise up 1, and knock Ole Miss out. Because even if the SEC is the best conference in college football, like, if we're in a situation where Texas A&M is being earmarked as not great, but they're currently the number 2 team in that conference. And they have a chance to beat the team that's currently sitting number 2 coming up here in a couple of weeks. So, like, if
they have a chance to beat, like, look, you've already marked them winning the fucking game, Jim. What are we doing?
I haven't. I said they have a chance to beat them because they play them.
Okay. I mean, but like, it's the framing I'm commenting on. Not that you're doing that intentionally. I'm not saying you.
So you're saying that Texas A&M has 0 chance against Texas?
That's how I kind of feel, actually.
That's what you're okay, and you're fine to think that, but like, I don't think that Texas is perfect. I don't.
Well, and there are no perfect teams this year. That was the lead, right? you know. Right. But let me turn it on its head. Are you confident Texas A&M will win that game?
I think it's 50-50.
I don't know, man. Okay.
Where's that game played at?
It's in Texas A&M, which is why it's 50-50.
Night game or day game?
To be determined. Probably going to be a night game. Let's be honest.
Cool. So it's gonna be an 8:00 game at Kyle Field.
Like Texas looked not good against Georgia.
Exactly. The field's named after me. I know exactly what's going to happen.
Like Texas looked not good against Georgia, a team that is now a 2-loss team who lost to an Alabama team who's a 2-loss team. They almost lost to Vanderbilt the following week at home.
A lot of good teams have almost lost to Vanderbilt. Why in the hell is that suddenly an indictment?
I mean,
Georgia lost to Ole Miss, who lost to Kentucky.
Right. So like there's just a lot of trading off with 2+ loss teams in that conference. So like, well, sure, I'll sign off on best conference in college football, but I also I won't sign off on it being as strong of a conference as it's been in recent years.
That doesn't mean the ACC is competitive like that, though. That's the part you guys are. I can't sign off on you telling me that the ACC is that good.
But it's not that the ACC is that good. It's that when I'm tasked to compare SMU, who has one good loss, again, there's that phrase you like.
Is that the loss? What's the SMU signature win? Can we answer that question? And remember, they've lost to a lowly Big 12 team, right? The Big 12 is supposed to be awful, but they lost to BYU, right?
Their best two wins probably the Pitt game or the Louisville game.
Guys,
currently Louisville is ranked.
You keep saying guys, but Kentucky is comparable to both of those teams, and Ole Miss lost to them.
But then they beat Georgia, but we're going to penalize them because Kentucky.
But you want to keep penalizing Notre Dame for losing to a G5 school.
You're goddamn right, I do, and they belong that way. And it's funny you mentioned Notre Dame because the fact that Louisville competed with them is why we're even having this conversation.
I mean, we're having the conversation because at the end of the day, we can't call out SEC teams for losing to bad SEC teams because they play in the SEC.
Yes, the road is over. That's very simple.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Bad teams are bad teams, no matter who
has a tougher round, the Cleveland Browns or the Tennessee Titans. It's the same fucking principle, man. I don't know where this is difficult.
Okay. P for pass. Jim.
Devin has a point. He said, I really don't see Penn State making it to the playoffs. Unfortunately, they will because they play Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland.
Because Minnesota trash.
Yeah.
Unless Minnesota can beat them, probably not. I think one final thing on this is I do find it interesting that where the committee is sitting on the ACC right now, because Miami is currently at the number 3 spot in the conference. But the committee is ranking them higher and in turn kind of projecting them to end up as the ACC champion. But right now, if the season ended today, the ACC championship would be SMU versus Clemson.
Because they still have divisions within the conference, Jim? Is that it?
No, they don't have divisions in the conference. SMU undefeated in conference. They're sitting at number 1.
Yeah.
Clemson is 6-1. Miami's 5-1. So I guess Clemson must have a bye week coming up here. That Miami does not. So I guess they're saying
that was confusing to me.
All things shake out. I guess they'll have Miami above. But it's just an interesting look of where the conference actually sits and where the committee thinks it will end up. So
that's a fascinating point by you. I agree.
All right, but anything else playoff wise?
I think this is a great time for me to I got a gift last week that I was gonna bring out on the show, and unfortunately we didn't do a show, so I'm gonna bring it to everybody. I got a package, and I'm gonna take off my headset real quick, and I'm gonna.
I was about to say, don't show your package on air. Jesus Christ!
I mean, up our viewership.
I mean, yeah, it might go through the roof, but we might get a strike. You got mail. Oh, for fuck's sake! This is what we're doing.
Dan Lanning sent me a package.
Yeah,
wanted me to say thanks, guys, for all the support, especially Jim and Mike. Wanted me to say, Ernest, thanks for picking Oregon State and the points when we picked them on the docket. Thanks for not jinxing us, you jinx. And he also wanted me to say, Matt, he appreciates all your witty banter and your humor when you're here. He'd love to have you in Oregon to do some recruiting. And he wanted me to say, Kyle, P.S., quack, quack, motherfucker.
Yeah, you're welcome, asshole.
Oh, my God.
Go Ducks.
Well, I can't think of a more perfect way to jump into the college football pickups for this week.
I can't believe I'm the one that came up with that. That's so freaking weird.
Oh, it's good stuff. All right, let's start this Saturday. Big noon on Fox. Joel Klatt is going to homer all over this game. Just get ready for it. It's a thing. It is going to happen.
Was that really your lead?
Just prepare yourself for it because he will, and it's okay. He's having a time. Good for him. Good for him. Utah is 4-5. They travel to number 17, Colorado, who is 7-2. They're a 10-point home favorite. Your over/under on this one, 47.5. Mikey B, we'll start with you.
I'm going to take former Conference Allegiant Colorado minus the points and the over.
All right, very good. Student of the game.
I know Jim doesn't hate on anybody on this show, but it's less about Klatt love and more about Jim hate with this particular game, quite obviously. I got Colorado covering. I got the over. It's the big deal.
So.
And what a perfect soundbite. Well done, Jim. Oh, gosh. By the way, with your professing of the Ducks and predicting them, you getting that gift from Coach Lanning, Burn, does that mean you ducked around and found out?
I did. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, probably a duck.
His name is Mikey Bird. That's right.
Probably a duck. Matt.
Yeah, I don't see Utah snapping their 5-game skid here. Definitely taking the over because Colorado scores points and they very rarely play defense. Arizona game notwithstanding. So give me the Buffs. Give me the over.
Yeah, nothing counts with Arizona.
This was a game that preseason I said would be a loss for Colorado with the Utes. But this season has not exactly gone the way that the Utes had planned.
Did you say Utes?
Give me Utah to cover, make it scary. Colorado will win the game. I will definitely take the over, though, because the Big 12.
Bad moon setting over there in Utah, Jim.
There you go. Devin has Colorado in the under. Next one, we go Saturday, 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN. It is 5-4 Boston College. They travel to number 14 SMU, who is 8-1, a 16.5-point home favorite. Your over/under is 54. Mikey B.
Give me the Stangs in the over.
All right, let's do the game.
Listen, as much as I've talked trash on SMU, here's what it's also proven, that the American was, in fact, better than the ACC. Give me the SMU Mustangs to win and cover, as well as – screw it, I'll take the over. It's probably the reason why I'm losing this section is because I'm so bad at over and under. But shots are clearly my duck friend Burn will get it correct.
There you go, Matt.
Is Phil Jerkovic still on Boston College?
Probably,
yeah.
By the way, Tommy Castellanos benched as quarterback in BC.
Interesting. So Phil might play. Definitely give me the Stangs then, and give me the under on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Boston College was able to beat Florida State, but who doesn't? I will take SMU to cover 16.5. Yeah, suck it, EJ.
Bitch.
Florida State Seminole Vesicles.
Give me SMU to cover. I will take a slight under because I don't think Boston College can score any points in this one. Next one.
That with Phil behind.
Did you put the Florida State sounder on there thinking we were going to pick more Florida State games this year, and then they came out flat out sucking?
Maybe.
Okay, just asking.
Oh, burn.
I mean,
asking.
I will say it was a blast watching Notre Dame just blast Florida State into an oblivion this past week.
I've never seen a man so happy about making a bad prediction. That's what I'm saying, Burn.
It was super fun. All right, Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. It is number 7 Tennessee. They are 8-1. They travel to number 12 Georgia, who is 7-2, and can get themselves right back in the SEC title game and playoff discussion with a win. They are a 9-point home favorite. 48.5 is your over/under. Mikey B.
It ain't gonna happen. Give me good old Rocky Top. Give me Rocky Top money line. Give me the Tennessee Volunteers to stick the stake through the Georgia Bulldogs' heart this season, and they missed the playoffs. I am going to take.
Wow.
All right, let's do the game.
I'm not going to go postal because I agree with Burn. I'm going to go coastal and relax like I'm at the beach because my dude's an Oregon fan now, but I agree with this pick right down the line.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, even if Georgia wins, I don't think it's by more than a touchdown. So I'll take Tennessee plus the points regardless, though I do think Tennessee wins outright. And I will take the under on this. Georgia's offense just looked too chaotic for me to believe that they're going to put up the points to match Tennessee.
Yeah, I was shocked. I had to double check the number when this one came out with what Georgia has and hasn't been. Maybe they figure this is going to be the bounce back week. I don't know, but I don't believe in it. As long as they keep putting Carson back out there pretending he's a viable starting quarterback in the SEC, that's a Kirby Smart problem. So give me Tennessee to cover. I think they win outright, and I will take a slight under in this one. Devin has Tennessee and the over on that one. And
it's more like Carson, what the heck? Am I right, Jim?
Wow, that was a choice. Kansas.
I didn't hear you disagreeing, motherfucker.
I can't. I can't really argue with fact. This Saturday, 10:15 Eastern time on ESPN, the 3-6 Kansas Jayhawks travel to number 6 BYU, who is 9-0. They are only a 3-point home favorite. 55.5 is your over/under on that one. Not 3. The over/under is not 3 on this one, despite the rainy forecast. Maybe that was part of it. Now 55.5. Mikey B.
How the hell are they only favored by 3?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Point by you.
Give me the Book of Mormons and the over.
Student of the game.
Trey Parker and Chris Stone should write a musical about the beatdown that's coming because it's going to be pure comedy. I too have pew 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 and the over.
All right, very good, Matt.
Yeah, give me the Cougars minus the 3. Give me the under on this. I don't see Kansas scoring enough points.
Yeah, BYU easy cover. I don't. This number makes less sense than Georgia as a 9-point favorite. So yeah, this one's easy, folks. Put it in your DraftKings as quickly as you can get it. I will take. I'll take under because of the rainy forecast. If it wasn't going to be rainy, I'd probably go over.
Can I do under now that you're saying it?
Yeah, you can switch it up. Yeah, yeah. So I think that'll just kind of keep the boat racing that could commence to a minimum.
Wait. You just said boat racing and it's going to be wet outside. I feel like that's a double negative.
Well, shit. You got a good point. I don't have a good answer.
It's boat racing because there'll be so much water. That's the only way the players can travel.
There you go.
All right.
That's the answer. That's
Yep.
the answer. Yeah, like I said, in the under there as well. All right. So that is where we close up the book on college football for this week. So let's move right ahead to the National Football League. Week 11, 4 teams on a bye this week. Giants, Cardinals, Bucks, and Panthers on a bye. Probably most needed there for Tampa.
No doubt.
for sure. So we will start Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS. It is the 7-3 Ravens, a 3-point road favorite at 7-2 Pittsburgh. Your over-under on this one, 47.5. Matt, we'll start with you.
It's in Pittsburgh. I still don't think that really matters. I'll take the Ravens. I'll take the under, though, on that one for sure.
All right, let's do the game.
Under is the play here. By the way, still somehow the best rivalry in the NFL. Hashtag I said it. Okay. Since Flacco and Roethlisberger were battling it out and Roethlisberger's nose got turned into a fucking Z that one time, man, this rivalry has been absolutely silly as far as games to watch. And I am privileged to say I witnessed one of those chapters. God bless it. Yes, I'm stalling. Deal with it. Speaking of stalling, by the way, now that you're wearing an Oregon jersey in your social life, when you get alone time with the wife, are you then known as a rubber ducky? Anyways, so with all that in mind, and he's using it side to
Rubber
side.
ducky, you're
Hey,
the one.
You're gonna need to see that on the Huddle Up YouTube channel because it's so well executed. Straight fire by the burn there. I've hesitated long enough. I don't necessarily love the pick. The under's the pick, but I'm going to pick the Steelers this week. I'm just going to do it.
All right, very good. Rubber Ducky, you're up next.
Ducks fly together. There's a bird. There's a bird in this game. That means I'm taking the Ravens.
There you
Does that
go.
mean you also make bath time fun at that time? Anyways.
Oh, you actually didn't hear me. That's what I was actually bouncing around to was rubber ducky. You're
Oh,
the
no.
one.
I knew what you were doing. That's why people need to check out the YouTube channel to see the dance. Bro.
All right, I'll take the Ravens in the under.
Yeah, under is definitely the play here. Shit.
I don't blame you, man. It's tough.
Yeah, this one. What's the? Do we have now that for some reason this has become a weather podcast?
AccuWeather for the
Let
greater
me
Pittsburgh area.
check the forecast.
Breaking news.
All right, we look sunny. We look sunny and cool.
On burn.
For that, I'll take the,
Let me
I'll
Bill
take the
Belichick
Ravens. It's gonna be close, man. It's gonna be close. I almost wanted to take the Steelers to cover that 3, but I think the Ravens win by like 4. So I will take the Ravens in this one.
You heretic.
As difficult as that was, Devin has the Ravens and the over.
Hey, I was the lone voice that picked the Steelers last week, and I looked pretty smart.
You were very good. All right, next one we go Sunday, 4:05 Eastern time on Fox. The 4-5 Seahawks travel to the 5-4 49ers, a 6.5 point home favorite. 49.5 is your over under on this one, Matt.
Sorry, say that one more time.
Niners are a 6.5 point home favorite over Seattle. 49.5 is your over under.
Got it. Yeah, I've trusted the Seahawks before. It's not going to happen again. Give me the 49ers to cover. And I will take the under on that one as well. I don't see the Seahawks putting up enough points.
All right, student of the game.
The under is the play here, right, gentlemen? That's a lot of goddamn points. 6.5. That's a good number if you're Vegas. I am. Woo. Shit. Yeah, I'll pick the Niners. Homer me all you want there, Jim. I deserve it.
Homer.
It's also the right answer.
That's the issue, right?
You can be a homer and still give the right answer. That's the problem. Mikey B.
I'm gonna take the Niners. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm taking the over or the under. Oh God, I guess I'm gonna take the under.
Nothing is over.
Yeah, under is definitely the play here, and I think it's just because both defenses pretty good. Niners defense is going to stifle whatever offense that Seattle tries to do. 6.5 feels like a lot, but the direction these teams are headed, I will still take the Niners to win and to cover as well. I just think whatever Seattle showed us at the beginning of the year was just a facade. It's just not there anymore. Devin has the 49ers and the under as well. Next one we go Sunday, 4:25 Eastern time on CBS. It is the 9-0 Chiefs traveling to 8-2 Buffalo, who is a 2.5-point home favorite. Your over/under is 45.5. Matt.
Yeah, while Buffalo hasn't looked like a perfect team this year, I think that they've shown a lot more than the Chiefs have. The Chiefs, just these last few weeks, it feels like they've been trying to lose games, and the opponent's like, no, please, we're begging you. So
no, yeah.
I feel like this week is not
the Denver Broncos.
God, what a mess. I feel like this week is not the week that they can do that. They're finally facing a formidable opponent. No disrespect to the Niners, who I believe were pretty badly beaten down when they faced the Chiefs. So
They were in both senses of the score and the roster there, Matt.
right. So give me the Bills. They're like the minus, what was it, 3? I will take
2.5.
2.5, yeah. I will take the over on this too.
All right, let's do the game.
Over's definitely the play, Matt. I'm with you on that 100%. That 2.5 is an excellent number. I think this game's going to be close, but it's going to be a goddamn basketball score. Hey, trust me, if you've seen Johnny Dawkins coach UCF basketball, trust me, it can be a basketball score, okay? It's because it's a lot of defense, gentlemen. I'm not talking trash, but yes, I'm stalling. Suck it. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the Bills. The Chiefs have escaped too much, in particular the past few weeks. I can imagine people throwing shit at the TV in either Denver or the Byrne household, seeing the Broncos just fuck that entirely over. I've made comments about bad craft.
The Denver Broncos.
I've made comments about bad craft work and blocking in the trenches in the NFL and have been critical of the Jaguars, but that special teams blocking effort by the Denver Broncos is literally the worst thing I've seen in offensive line play in the entire fucking season.
Thing sucks.
Well played, Jim.
Did you guys hear the radio call from the Broncos play-by-play on that?
The shit is depressing.
Oh, dude. Yeah, if you want to feel worse about yourself today, just go find that call. It's just like 35-yard kick to win, and it's blocked. Can you believe it? Like just the immediate desolation in his voice is just wow.
Just the urge to say what the fuck. That's what's going on.
Yeah, he's suppressing so much. And credit to, I don't know who their play-by-play guy is, but credit to him.
Professional. That's what we know.
Yeah, he sure damn is. Much more than I could be. I would have lost my job that day. I can tell you that much if I was on the call on that one.
In fairness, you could probably get a good severance because, damn it, it's not your fault.
That's true. It's a hazard pay.
I could literally just see Jim pulling the Tom Brennan whenever he got pulled. I'm a man of faith, but god damn it, I've reached a fucking breaking point. I don't know when I'm gonna put this headphone back on again, but
either that or the Jim Brockmeyer from the game where he got canned. If you don't know that, go find the old Funny or Die sketch of the original Brockmeyer.
That's pretty good.
Mikey B, Chiefs Bills.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Bills in the over.
Nice drop. Well done.
Yeah, it really is a situation of I said we're going to kind of find out a bit about the Bills. They're obviously in a bad division, but doing everything they need to do, and the Chiefs have just kind of just been messing around for a while, and I think it catches up to them this week. Again, it's not gonna hurt them in the long run unless we start talking tiebreakers towards the end of the year, but they're going to have to find another loss somewhere. Give me the Bills, and I will take the over as well.
Quick side note, Jim. Should the Chiefs somehow prevail in this football game, it's going to be pretty goddamn hard to find a loss on the rest of the schedule.
Yeah,
and they would need. I mean, really, because I think it's the home field in the AFC is I think going to come down to these two teams. Steelers, Ravens could potentially be in play, but Ravens already have a loss to the Chiefs.
Yeah, they're down a tiebreak, right?
Then the Bills would be as well, and you would need the Chiefs to lose 3 times in the final 7 weeks.
How about no?
That's how about no? Those aren't great odds. Let me tell you that.
Bob.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough sledding. We're starting to talk about some of those end of year things. The Bills could potentially clinch the East, not this week, but the following. with a couple of wins. Again, the Chiefs starting to separate themselves from the conference a bit with the win here. So we're starting to talk about those things as we head towards the end of the year. And then last one we have for the week. Oh, Devin had Buffalo in the over because fuck the Chiefs. So hi, Devin.
Can't argue that.
That's analysis right there.
There we go.
Am I the one that doesn't hate the Chiefs on this podcast? Am I the problem?
Yes.
I didn't used to. I think
Ernest loves
burn
them,
out.
so
Yeah, that too.
I was going to say, Ernest doesn't help their cause.
So, well, and I mean, listen, I get as an Eagles supporter, perhaps the Bradbury thing is still in your craw, even though it was the correct call and that other stuff. I mean, I've got a year, but if you're anti-Chief for that, I'm not going to hold that against you.
It's not because of that. I was fine with him after that game. I think it's just kind of the league protection that we see. Some of the calls that over the past couple of years that have been questionable to say the least. They're getting the Patriots treatment. It's the team you love to hate kind of thing.
Maybe I'm the problem, man. I don't think it. I hear the Patriots treatment part, but I think we're prisoners of the moment with that because there's some blatant shit that the Pats defense did in the day to make them basically rewrite the rule book. But I digress.
It also gave me a chuckle this weekend to hear Tom Brady say, that's a tough call for that official to make on a roughing the passer call.
The irony is ironic. On that one. All right, let's go Sunday night, 8:20 Eastern time on NBC. It is the 4-6 Bengals traveling to the 6-3 Chargers, who are a 1.5 point home favorite. Over under on this one, 46.5. Matt, we'll start with you.
I think the Bengals need the signature win here. Ernest jinxing aside, I think they were close to last week, so I think this is the week they get that. I mean, this is I hate to steal it from him when he's not here, but this feels as must win as anything for the Bengals when it comes to potential playoff wild card seeding here. This is potentially a team that they'll be battling with for that type of standing. So give me the Bengals to cover or win outright, I guess. I will take the over on this as well.
But I mean, Matt, saying must win with a 4-6 team in week number 11, not an inaccurate statement. Saying must win with any goddamn record in week 2. Week 1, excuse me. Actually incorrect.
Week 0.
Just completely
at the draft.
Right. Like just so wrong on so many levels. So you're not stealing a phrase from EJ because you're actually using it properly.
I did it wrong. Yeah.
You're actually doing it properly here. So student of the game.
This game, I believe, is a must-win, and the only thing that might be more of a must-win for the Bengals is upcoming against the Broncos if things stay on the right path, right, gentlemen? With this in mind, this game fascinates me in that this has all over it that Joey Burr has an MVP, Hall of Fame caliber goddamn offensive performance, but Jim Harbaugh's group crushes the Bengals defense. And I'm not here to say that that's a rare thing. I'm sure Byrne will even agree with me. It is for that reason. I have the Chargers winning outright. With that in mind, I'm going to say a slight over. No, I'm not. I'm going to go under. Yeah, I talked myself into under because math. And, this is one of those games where I think the pendulum just swings pretty wide. It depends on whether or not the Chargers control it like a hardball team controls the flow of the game.
All right. Very good. Mikey B.
Good pivot there, Kyle, because I think if the Chargers win this game, it has to be the under because they find a way to keep Joey Burr off the field. That being said,
right.
I'm betting the over, therefore I'm betting Joey Burr, and you can hit that homer button all you want.
Homer.
But the reality of this situation is I'll steal it from Ernest because he stole a win from me. Bengals +6 looks real good. Fuck you, Ernest. It is as must win as it gets for the Cincinnati Bengals in week 11.
Fuck you, buddy.
Do
right? Because honestly, like that. If this game goes over, it's going to play into the Bengals' hand. If it stays under, it's going to play into the chart. That really is the thing. The Bengals have scored over 20 points 6 times. And the sad thing for them is in 4 of those they've lost. The Chargers have not given up 20 points this year.
Unless the Chargers force turnovers, that's the only thing that turns this.
Yeah, it's so like defense versus offense. It really is kind of a wild thing. The Chargers offense starting to play a little better now. Again, they've scored 20 plus against New Orleans, Cleveland, and Tennessee, so they're going to be at a little bit more of a battle this week too.
With that Bengals defense,
Cincinnati's defense. So I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take my Chargers. No offense, Mike. Yeah, I'll hit it.
Marge.
Homer. Marge.
It worked a lot for me last year picking this way, and I'm going to continue it. But really, the fact that we're sitting here talking about like Bengals Chargers being a big game in Week 11 is really.
It's going to be a fun game to watch. I don't give a shit. Like, there's going to be some fun football to watch. By the way, Matt, I hear you pointing out Marge, but let's remember, Jim has a Chargers hat now, Matt. That shit's Homer.
I know. I didn't wear it this week.
True. That is very true.
But that is where we will close up on week number 11. Again, check your bets. Don't count on us. We're here on Tuesday. So depending where you catch these, just double check in your apps and things before you start betting them. Even though the man is not here this week, we will play the song in his honor as we do this.
I'm not dancing at a protest that EJ is not here.
I was going to say, can you give us like a sad dance?
All right, as we do each and every week, we will look at the power rankings and kind of discuss those. Probably won't go as in depth this week because the man's not here to defend his horrible takes.
Yeah, I was about to say there won't be bad logic, so there'll be a good conversation. Just like
before you put them up, Giants are too high.
All right, let's
on this panel to get excited about that.
That's right. That is right. All right, let's. I'll pull them up here. I do have Mike's in mind on the next graphic then as well. But looking at EJ's bottom 5 for the weeks, he has Titans 32, Giants 31, Panthers at 30, Saints at 29, and Jets at 28. Kind of for me the story, and we'll see mine in a minute. I'll go to his top 10. But there's so many bad teams that like there's cases to be made if you want to pull Saints and Jets out. I don't know why you pull the Jets out, but if you want to pull the Saints out because they beat the Falcons, cool. You want to put somebody else in there, you'll see mine in a minute. But there's more than 5 teams competing for the worst 5 teams.
Didn't he have the Jags on last week though? Like, how did they move up?
Week, I don't think they did.
Okay.
That's the thing. He struggles to put the Jags on there, and the reason you don't put the Jags on there is what they did to allegedly one of the best teams in the NFC. I shouldn't say allegedly, one of the best teams in the NFC. And if Mac Jones could actually put together a second touchdown drive, they win the fucking game. So
Ernest's bottom 5 from last week was Raiders, Titans, Patriots, Panthers, Saints.
Okay.
That's my question. How did the Raiders crawl out? Now, if you're punishing the Jets, I'm down. But
that's fair. You know.
I also don't understand why the Browns aren't in his bottom 5.
Because they're a playoff team.
They're a playoff team. Never mind. No, I answered my own question.
You figured it out, buddy.
Is it just because they looked better the last time we saw them with Jameis? Like, I guess that would maybe be his argument. But let's look at top 10. Then we'll also see Mike's and mine as well.
Did he have the Vikings in his top 10 last week?
No,
he did not. All right, so his top 10: Cardinals, 9 Texans, 8 Packers, 8 Packers, 7 Commanders, 6 Steelers, 5 Eagles, 4 Bills, 3 Ravens, 2 Chiefs, 1 Lions. I'll give him credit for 2 weeks in a row. He's not had the Chiefs at number 1.
I'm not mad at his top 4. I like it.
His top 5 went unchanged from last week.
Okay.
I would flop the Bills and Ravens at this juncture, and I would reward the Steelers. For me, Eagles and Steelers, like that 5, 6, 7 grouping,
He did have the Steelers at 9 last week. So
Okay,
he did move them up 3. Eagles didn't move at all.
Remind me who the Eagles win was this week.
Cowboys.
Yeah, that's why the Steelers should be up one more.
Yeah.
So with no disrespect, of course.
Disrespect them all you want.
The Steelers lost to the Cowboys.
They did.
How many weeks ago was that?
It was
a lot.
3.
1,000.
By the way, I really think the Steelers are a big reason why the Cowboys have continued to lose since, by the way. Let's talk that out there, too.
Well, that and just everything else.
You got to blame the Texas Sun.
Well, we did it that way, Matt. We built it that way. We know which way the sun's coming in. We know it. Fuck you, Jerry. Sorry.
What the fuck are we doing here with
the Cardinals
and the Cardinals ahead of the Vikings? And I know they're ahead of the Vikings because this dumb motherfucker hasn't even put the Vikings in the top 10. And I would call him a dumb motherfucker to his face right now.
Yeah. I don't
He
know.
would look up and be like, they only scored 12 points against Jacksonville, and I got to penalize them because they didn't look good on offense.
And that's and you know what? I think he'd say the same thing, Mike. You know what I'm going to come back with? The Texans lost to a team where the quarterback threw 5 fucking interceptions. What are we doing here?
Right. I mean, the Texans have lost 3 out of their last 4. They've lost. I mean, now the Packers are in his top 10. They barely beat the Colts. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Jets.
Goddamn Jets.
To the Jets. And then they lost to a team who threw 5 picks. You were at home and had every opportunity to run away with a game against one of the top teams in the NFL, and you didn't.
Jim, can you please give me the? Thank you.
It's already ahead of you on that one. I don't like the Texans in here. I really don't like the Cardinals in
I
here.
really wish he was on the show, because even after having recorded the Student of the Game report on the Earnestly Speaking podcast, I still don't understand the hard-on he has for the Cardinals. I just don't.
I don't get it. I don't.
So go ahead.
If he's gonna penalize the Jets and put him in the bottom 5.
Goddamn Jets.
Thank you.
How is that your selling point to put the Cardinals in the top 10?
That's a great point.
If he doesn't have the Jets in the bottom 5, you can look up and go, the defense held Aaron Rodgers to 6 points. They put up a ton of points. The offense looks like it's finally firing on all cylinders. But you lose all of your credibility when you put the team that they boat raced at 28.
Oh, homie, you aren't done. Even with a better record that the Cardinals have than the 49ers right now, he still has the 49ers as the favorite in the division. And yet, the Vikings aren't in the top 10.
You dumbass.
I would actually prefer a Brad Pitt from Moneyball, please, Jim.
There we go.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Can we also get a Morgan Freeman from?
You smoke crack, don't you?
I mean, we might as well round it out. Thank you, sir.
Smoke crack.
There we go. Can we just make that all one sound bite moving forward?
Why not?
He rambled, but he rumbled and stumbled.
And here's the thing: I'm looking at the Cardinals' schedule. Sure, they've rattled off some wins. They've beaten a Chargers team, which is currently a playoff team. They beat them 17-15. Since then, they've beaten the Dolphins by 1, the Bears by 20, and the Jets. I mean, they beat the Jets by a hell of a lot. But the Jets are, again, according to him, one of the 5 worst teams in football.
Well, but in September, Jim, he did have the Jets making the playoffs. There's that.
And I look back over the rest of their schedule. They beat a 49ers team who was very beat up, a Rams team who was beat up, and then their losses are Bills, Lions, Commanders, Packers, which good losses, sure, but you've lost to all the good teams that you've played. You've lost all the good teams that you've played against. I don't see how that makes a top 10 team. Are the Cardinals a surprising team this year? Sure, I'll give you that. I didn't think the Cardinals would be leading the West. I didn't expect the Niners to be the walking wounded for the first 2 months of the year, but I didn't expect the Cardinals to be leading.
The past 3 weeks, Jim, all the Cardinals wins have been fraudulent in some fashion, right? So,
yeah. Dolphins, Bears, Jets, all
Dolphins, the first week Tua came back after a long stint, and they beat him by a point. Let's be clear.
Right. And the Bears are just crumbling. They fired their OC this week. The Jets, I mean, let's fire Robert Saleh again, because maybe that'll help you next week. Like,
I could see Aaron Rodgers asking them to hire Robert Saleh.
Yeah, exactly.
Fire him. That's the thing he would do. Yes.
So did that Hail Mary like break the Bears? Like they're done now? Season's over.
Sure looks like it. And again, I sent there's a video the NFL media put out today showing like Harbaugh's like love of Justin Herbert, and I sent it to the group. And I said, imagine being the Chicago Bears, a place that Jim Harbaugh also played in his NFL career, knowing you were going to take Caleb Williams at number 1 and going, you know what? Let's not bring this guy in to coach this team. Let's stick with Matt Eberflus. It seems like a good plan.
I mean, would he have wanted that?
To coach Chicago?
Over LA?
The reason why I would say yes is because Chicago culture would embrace Harbaugh coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think both places. He played both places. He loves coaching in California. He obviously did it with Stanford as well. Obviously likes coaching in the Midwest as he did it. It
sure as hell wasn't state tax issues. I know that shit.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just still just baffling to me. Looking over Mike's and mine. Any thoughts on those as well? For the podcast, we'll run them real quick. For the podcast listeners, I have my bottom 5: Jags, Cowboys, Jets, Giants, Titans. Mike has Cowboys, Browns, Panthers, Titans, and Giants. Our top 10s: mine, Lions, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Eagles, Packers, Steelers, Commanders, Vikings, Chargers. Mike has Lions, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Vikings, Packers, Steelers, Chargers, and Commanders.
Mike, you're clear. I'll ask you, Jim, since you're here in the panel. Explain to me Ravens over Bills. I'm nitpicking, but I'm only curious. I'm just, for those out there who are listening.
If they were to play this week,
okay,
I would pick the Ravens.
But it's that close, is what I hear you tell.
It is extremely close.
Fair.
To me, there's the 4 best teams in football, and then there's like that next pocket, and then the next one. So yeah, it really came down to if they played this week, even despite like a struggle a couple weeks ago, I would take the Ravens over the Bills this week, just because right now, because of how bad the AFC East has been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sold on 8-2 for the Buffalo Bills. Now, you win this week. Spoiler alert, you're probably going to move up.
By the way, I appreciate all of you keeping the Cardinals out of the fucking top 10. Easily the biggest crime he's committed.
I would have.
This season.
There were not even a thought for number 10.
I'm noticing also how neither of you have the Texans at this point. I find that highly fascinating, which means he's completely obliterating the Chargers and Vikings both in what is clearly his worst bracket of the year. This is why this motherfucker wasn't on. He's hiding. Bern, if I might inquire of you, not you, but if I can get the EJ Christian screen.
Oh, hold on.
What the fuck are we doing? Okay, put it back.
There we go.
I mean, look. When I look at mine,
Go ahead. I just remembered something else I wanted to ask EJ. Finish your point.
Okay. The bottom 5, like Jim said, I think I had a harder time trying to figure out who was like 28, 29. Because last week I did have the Raiders in mine as well, and I think I took them out because of bye week. And I think it was because other teams just played so
Cowboys
bad.
would have lost a bye week, so that's
why they're in his bottom 5 now, Jim.
So I just kind of went back and forth on the bottom 5. Like I wrote it out while I was at work, and I looked and I was like, how do I have 6 teams that could all be 28?
Yeah,
that is kind of funny, isn't it?
I
appreciate you punishing Mac Jones, by the way, by putting the Jags 28. I'm not going to question you on that. Mike, may I have EJ back, please? Thank you, EJ. You know what I find interesting there, EJ Christian? Eagles Jaworski. The Packers are 6 on Jim's top 10. The Packers are 7 on Mike's list. You're 10 green toes down. If you had some amputations, as the Packers are only 8 on yours.
I gotta give credit to the Steelers. Russell Carrington Wilson, so great.
Here's the thing, though. The Steelers aren't in your top 10. Oh, no, they're 6. I apologize. Carry on.
Yeah, part of me looking at mine again.
Great hits, by the way, EJ Byrne.
I maybe would have flipped Green Bay and Pittsburgh, rewarding Pittsburgh a bit. Although I had Pittsburgh at 10.
I find it interesting that both of you two have them back to back with each other. I think that's a fine take by you. I do think you're both a little low on the Red Tails. Sorry, Commanders, but not enough to really kick a stink about it. I mean, at least you have the Cardinals in your top 10.
So for me in that one, my 5, 6, 7, like, so I had Commanders 5, Vikings 6, Packers 7, Eagles 8, and I had the Steelers at 10 last week. So I had to bring the Steelers up because of the win. I had to bring the Commanders down. I didn't necessarily want to like punish the Packers because they were off. So I think it was more just rewarding the Steelers that kind of knocked Commanders down, Vikings down. Again, maybe I would flip the Steelers Packers, but I had to get the Steelers above Washington, and I didn't want to punish Green Bay for not playing.
So here's what we've established, gentlemen, is that EJ's 7 through 10 are just pitiful.
Yeah.
Just ass nasty.
Yeah, because I probably, in hindsight, I probably would have flipped the Chargers and the Commodores.
Oh, I don't agree with you. I think you have it right.
I mean, I had Washington last week at the 6th spot. So I penalized them 4 spots for the loss.
That's a bit much. I'll agree with that.
And maybe that's where it is. But I also didn't have the Steelers ranked at all last week. So I had to vault them up, not from 11 to 2 like somebody else on this show has done once or twice or 35 times. But I did have to give the devil his due and get them higher, especially higher than Washington.
Wow. Now Russell Carrington Wilson's the devil. Really?
No. The devil is Mike Tomlin for looking at the camera and blowing it a kiss after the game went final.
Bro, that shit was lost. I don't give a
stone cold.
That's a good call by you, Byrne. I can't. I retract my joke. Carry on.
No, so I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe I have the Vikings a little too high. Maybe I'm still high on the Sam Darnold Kool-Aid, or maybe I'm not in love with Jordan.
Okay.
They have to be playing again here.
I'm going to be honest. The too high on the Vikings, I think, is the answer here. Not by a lot. Maybe 1 or 2 places.
Sure.
And the Vikings are also going to go on a rip here and probably win their next 6 before they play the Packers.
Say Packers Vikings is December 29th.
They have the Titans, the Bears, the Cards, the Falcons, the Bears again, and the Seahawks before.
You're giving them opportunity to drop if they blow one of those. I do respect that.
They're playing the number 10 Arizona Cardinals.
That was easy.
That's true. They have a top 10 team in their horizon.
I mean, and they didn't score a touchdown this week against the Jags. Like, credit to the Jags for playing a tough game, but what sounds like an easy road for Minnesota may not be as easy as we think it is. Or they could have had a bad week. Again, teams have bad weeks. Don't want to take that away from them. But yeah, I had to punish them. I mean, as well.
Also, and I'll we penalized the Jaguars with Mac Jones. Like, kudos to the defense for not breaking. Like, they bent, they gave up the field goals and gave them their team a chance to win football game. Like, that's kind of the reason why I didn't have Jacksonville in my bottom 5. It's like I kind of want to penalize them because Mac Jones played fairly questionable, but like the defense played so good to keep a team that I had as high ranked as I did Minnesota to only field goals, and to keep the offense, give Mac Jones a shot to win a football game.
They were still better than the Cowboys. I hear you.
Yeah, there's not a lot of teams that are worse than them.
There he goes. Hi, Jim. How you doing?
There really isn't. Hey, man. One of the guys at work is a Jets fan. Every week I'll message him sorry about your Jets. And he'll go, they're like, I'm just numb to it. And then he'll say, sorry about your Cowboys. And I'll just literally copy and paste his message. I'm just not
efficient, Jim.
My wife said to me when it hit the Eagles Cowboys hit 28-6 or 38-6 or whatever the hell it ended up being, and she goes, I'm really impressed that you're not mad. And I go, what's there to get mad about? Really,
Jim
just
looks back with hollow sunken eyes.
I mean,
I'm more thinking Joaquin Phoenix from Joker, but cool.
Right, I'm like, why would I get mad? Like, there's nothing to get mad at. Like, I think that's the saddest part, because there's really nothing to get mad at.
Thinking it's just more.
Yeah, he's
coffee from the Green Mile. He's just, I'm tired.
I'm tired.
Boss. At the end of the day, John Coffey had only Mr. Bojangles to look forward to. You have your Irish in playoff contention. So
I said the wildest part is, like, I felt more upset when the Orioles lost in the playoffs this year than I am about the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have fallen into you can't even make me care spot anymore. Like, that's how bad it's gotten. That's how bad it's gotten. But
by the way, worst healthcare establishment ever. I don't even care spot. That's great.
Yeah, that's just exactly where it is. All right, let's close up as we do each and every week.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
We look ahead to the weekend that will be, and what is one thing that will happen this upcoming week. Student of the game, Kyle Nash, we'll start with you. What will happen this week?
Listen, despite the accusations that I hate the Irish, there have been actual entities that I've given entirely too hard a time to throughout the goddamn season, and one of them happens to be former UCF coach and current Tennessee coach Josh Heupel and his Tennessee team. So I will volunteer some slack. I'm going to lock up. They take on and beat the Bulldogs, where Heupel looks pretty darn smart against Kirby.
Lock it up.
I like it. Matt, what will happen this weekend?
We will see not one but two teams drop from playoff contention in the college football rankings.
Ooh, like it.
Lock it up.
Mikey B.
Not to discredit the remaining slate for Jim's Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Too late.
But one of their teams that they're going to face later on down the road will eat an L to a division opponent this week. Patrick LaVon Mahomes II Jr. and Nebraska. The third, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the third.
Patrick LaVon Mahomes the third junior.
You can get that shirt on our TeePublic store as well.
And the Nebraska Cornhuskers will go into the Coliseum and defeat Southern Cal.
Hasn't Nebraska hurt you guys enough? Jesus Christ.
I was also just trying to use that to plug the t-shirt.
They can also hurt well played. They can also hurt Lincoln Riley more as well. So it all works out. But hey, USC is wearing their throwback uniforms, which is the same uniforms they always wear, but with 3 stripes on the sleeve instead of 1. So cool. Good on you, USC. You really showed them.
But remember, Jim doesn't talk shit on this podcast, fellas.
Absolutely not. I certainly do not. Never have, never will.
Don't care about feelings.
And for me, a top 5 team will lose to an unranked opponent this weekend.
Why you got to call out Penn State like that, bro?
Oh God, please let that be.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Just end that. Yeah, knowing my luck though, he'll get fired and end up like Jerry Jones will hire him.
Don't even joke. I don't want that either. God,
it could happen at this point. Again, find a quick and easy way to stay in the don't even care about it slot. Like that'll just
I don't even care spot. Your place for healthcare.
Just lock it in. Just lock it in entirely. All right, that's where we're going to close it up for the week. Matt, let them know where they can follow you.
Yep, across all platforms, it's at Teaching to the Choir. You can hear me on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the 3CT pod, and on Mondays on the Maximize Monday podcast.
All right, Mikey B.
You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. You can listen to myself, Joe, and Jim talk wrestling on the Take 3 Wrestling podcast. Sunny Days and Double Plays, the Palm Beach Baseball podcast, starting back this week. And the Mount is going to be making a return in the next couple weeks.
Are we talking about rubber duckies again with the Mount? I'm just asking. Quack, quack. Jesus, quack, quack, motherfucker, entirely, doesn't it? Woo!
Into the game, let them know.
God, I'm you know what? This is proof of talent that as fraudulent as the Ducks are, I'm the one that came up with quack, quack, motherfucker. I know why I'm on this show. It has nothing to do with knowledge. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network for both the Orlando Magic and the Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as my work on the Duval Dive. Of course, you'll see that tomorrow on the Duval Dive YouTube channel, among other places, as well as the Student of the Game podcast Wednesday night as well. Both of them will still be happening despite the fact I will be in the building for the Magic hosting the Indiana Pacers yet again. Hopefully
that is magic.
I see what you did there. I can't keep pace with that good joke. Anyways, boom! Or can I? Now, of course, check out the Duval Dive live after the Jacksonville Jaguars game. No night shift live this week, fellas, because the Knights are on a bye, and hopefully they're revving up to win out the last two games so they can get bowl eligible, because God help me dealing with Knight fans if they don't. And then, of course, but nonetheless, the Black and Gold Banneret, I am covering UCF men's and women's basketball, both teams doing well. UCF 3-0 after dropping FAU now. Yeah, that's two tournament teams they've beaten in their first three outings. You got to love that. Make sure, but blackandgoldbanneret.com, I'll be writing a feature on Darius Johnson, the point guard. So I think that's everything. Student podcast 9 o'clock. Yeah, okay. Until next time, everyone. Class dismissed.
All right, you can get me at Big Jim Sports on Blue Sky. You can also get the show at Huddle Up Podcast on all platforms, podcast platforms. You can get us on YouTube at Huddle Up Podcast. You can also get, like I said, our merch over at tpublic.com, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok. We're at Huddle Up Podcast, Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. Twitch is at Huddle Up Inc. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, for listening again this week as we are back in the saddle, ready to close out the remaining weeks of the football season. We appreciate you sticking with us. If you enjoy the show, share it. Share our social medias as well. Get the interaction going there. Certainly do appreciate that. Until next week, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.